You can't use that in argumentation, based on the charter. But like you said, I mean, the charter completely changed Canada's constitution from the way it had been before. Before the charter, we had a system that was called basically parliamentary supremacy. So elected officials were ultimately, the supreme determiners of policy in Canada, and the charter brought in what's called constitutional supremacy, but what really is judicial supremacy, where in many cases the Supreme Court becomes the highest authority in terms of policy in Canada. So many laws, as we've discussed, have been struck down as a result of the courts getting this power from the charter. And this was not a mistake. Like I know a lot of people think, well, the judges used the charter on their own as an opportunity to take power, and maybe there's some of that, but it was Trudeau's intent to transfer power from elected officials to the judges. And he wrote that, I forgot to bring the book with me here, but in 1968, when Pierre Trudeau was the justice minister, he wrote a book which was a proposal for the Charter of Rights for Canada. It was published by the government of Canada in 1968, and he says right in there that one of the implications of this is we'll have to transfer some power we'll have to switch from parliamentary supremacy to something else, which is we have to transfer some of the power from elected officials to unelected officials. That was the intent of it, right, in 1968 when he wrote that. And throughout, the charter itself wasn't adopted officially till 1981. It came to effect in 1982. But during those 13 years, there was a lot of debate over the charter, and often you'd have hearings where political scientists or law professors would come before parliamentarians and say, if you adopt this charter, we're going to be transferring power from elected officials to the judges. They would say that. This was not some kind of secret thing. Like throughout the 70s, you can go back and read these transcripts of these parliamentary hearings. This was public information of argumentation against the charter. But somehow, it seems to have been missed in the major debates in 1981. The Trudeau Liberals were just kind of, selling it as, don't you want more freedoms? Don't you want a document that protects you from the government? And of course, we want a document that protects us from the government. Who doesn't want that, right? So it's an easy sell. But there was so much behind it, that had been spoken out publicly but wasn't part of their selling point. You know what I mean? So it was easy to make the charter popular. And when they took polls, the charter had a majority support in Canada at that time because of this thing. Of course, we want protection from the government, but there was so much more to it than what they were saying, in terms of their sales pitch. And of course, most of the premiers were opposed to the charter. They saw, and especially Sterling Lyon, the premier of Manitoba, he spoke out very strongly against the charter because he knew it was going to undermine our system that we had. And you know what? The leftists accused him of being against human rights.